Last but certainly not least, we will hear from Microsoft's Global Black Belt for the Microsoft 365 Government Cloud and CMMC, Maryam Rahmani. Maryam is committed to empowerment of customers leveraging both Microsoft's cloud services, enabling modern work with integrated security and compliance, and Microsoft's partners' expertise. Previously, she was a senior business strategy manager with Microsoft Security Solution, working closely with partners on CMMC strategy and building joint security solutions. As a consultant in a cyber risk advisory, she helped organizations mitigate cyber-related risks by adhering to regulations and standards. Today, Maryam is going to present on Microsoft Government Cloud and CMMC solutions.
Thank you, Julie, for having me. Super excited to be part of the third annual CMMC Con. For today, I would like to talk to you about the CMMC strategy and how you can leverage Microsoft resources within our CMMC acceleration program, both whether you are a customer within the DIB or a partner to help you in your cybersecurity maturity model certification journey. Although I do have to say these tools cannot guarantee an outcome for CMMC certification, but they can help you to accelerate your journey, also improve your cybersecurity posture, and reduce your overall risk in advance of a formal CMMC review, which will be per the Cyber AV guidelines. So with that, I want to let you know that Microsoft has put together a series of tools, best practices, blogs that you really can take advantage of, as you see here, as well as taking advantage of our cloud services to demonstrate compliance with a given regulations like the U.S. Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, or FedRAMP, which really helps our U.S. federal customers to benefit from the cost savings that the cloud services from cloud service providers like Microsoft can present them. And that's also some of the benefits that are inherent within our cloud services that you can leverage. So when you go to the CMMC acceleration program, what I would like to bring to your attention is basically first, when you go to a link that is AKA Microsoft /CMMC, you will notice that this particular link will take you to a landing page that we have a lot of these resources that I'm talking about basically put in place. In addition to that, while you are there, because this link is actually part of the Microsoft federal basically website, you will see that there is additional information available to you under the defense. And in those solutions, as you investigate, you can probably come across cybersecurity executive order, which is also an additional resources that we have put together. It's really an interactive guide on the cyber EO that helps not only federal agencies better understand not only near, but also long-term, the milestones that we are implementing, as well as strategic responses to align them in their digital transformation to the executive order requirement. But those are some of the things that you, as our DIB community, can also leverage. So I really wanted to bring that to your attention. And then in addition to that, there are a lot of other awesome resources available. We will go through them one by one. But let me first take a moment and tell you that when it comes to the Microsoft strategy regarding the CMMC 2.0 compliance, we have really taken a look from not only as a cloud service provider, but also as a defense industrial-based company, as a system integrator. So we really have put together a lot of thoughtful efforts in play to share with you with regards to what we have learned in our journey as we are trying to be ready and comply with the CMMC. And so you can take advantage of all of our inherent controls within our various clouds based on your risk appetite, risk posture, and as it relates to the regulation that you need to meet. So when it comes to Microsoft, we really always say that we have the most complete cloud, whether it's the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service that our Azure provides you, or our software as a service, our Office 365, M365, or our relationship management in Dynamics, or even our GitHub for DevOps. We have really cloud services that provide you to demonstrate that you are going on your way with compliance to the CMMC maturity levels as they are stated in the CMMC framework. And so all of those are available for you to leverage. Here, I'm sharing with you, when you go to this link, it's the latest blog that is written by one of my esteemed colleague, Richard Wakeman, that really touches on all of the resources that we have within the CMMC acceleration program that you can leverage. For this call today, what we are going to do together, we are going through each one of these resources. So let's and by the way, they were all with hyperlinks, so you can go and download them and get more information. The first on the list that I really want to bring your attention is our product placemat, which is really, as you look at it, it looks like a periodic chart. It shows all the cloud services that Microsoft has that really helps you to comply with a CMMC 2.0 levels 1 and 2. It is an interactive guide, as you will see. It does have licensing SKUs that you can basically choose, that it will show you then how you will get to demonstrate or how many services are going to be meeting if you are leveraging this tool. The default view of this tool is the practices within Microsoft coverage that you as a customer can inherit from a Microsoft as your cloud service provider. And it shows you which practices are under shared coverage, what would be your responsibility versus what is Microsoft responsibility, etc. For each practice that aligns with Microsoft coverage or shared coverage, we actually provide customer implementation guidance and recommendation so that you can further see what actions are recommended for you to take. And you can further drill down into each practice and learn in more details about inheritance and actions, again, that you need to be taking. So let's say we will choose, as it's shown in this screen capture, M365E5. Right there, it shows you that 6 domains or practices are covered outright by Microsoft. Those are, as you see in this chart, access control, audit and identification, authorization, physical protection, etc. And so you will see that, gosh, almost 72 practices are shared coverage, and you, by implementing an M365E5, are getting more than 70% coverage toward meeting the 110 controls in CMMC 2.0. Now, I want to pause here and say that cybersecurity has always been about people, processes, and technology. It's not a magic acquisition of an E5 to say that, hey, I'm on my way to be a CMMC compliant. It's not going to work like that. You really need to make sure you're pulling on the right levers, you're implementing it correctly. And with that, often we recommend for you to work with partner or folks that are really well versed, not only within the government regulation, but also understand the Microsoft government cloud to help you in your journey. the other thing I wanted to mention, when you go to that link that was shown in the previous slide, um, this tool is in public preview. You can download it, but please note that. And also, we will encourage you to share with us your feedback. This particular screenshot is also part of the tool. It shows you what I was sharing, that you can go further, zero in on, and get additional detail on. This one is about principle of list privilege, permission, which is also foundational in the zero trust architecture, just-in-time access, and is kind of giving you an example what you need to do with regards to the role-based access, leveraging Azure Active Directory. Since this particular placemat doesn't allow us the space to provide you as much detail that we want to provide you, we actually have gone and put together a basically technical reference guide for you. Think of it as a level 200 if your placemat is a level 100. Now, this one provides you even more detail when it comes to the implementation guidance with regards to implementing each one of these controls. And let's see. So there is also a Microsoft compliance ecosystem. So one of the things that I was zeroing in on is that how can you really leverage Microsoft's investment in controls to meet your regulatory obligations. So obviously, as I shared with you, we are probably one of the most trusted clouds out there. We meet so many different regulatory framework. And as you see, you can go into the trust portal and get the information, the audit report and whatnot with regards to how we are meeting our obligation. And through the shared responsibility model and the flow down, how you can leverage and inherit our compliance. Additionally, within the compliance ecosystem, we have Microsoft Purview, which is our GRC, governance, risk, and compliance platform. Microsoft Purview Compliance Manager can really help you to see your compliance posture and also figure out how it is improving within your journey. And then in addition to that, you can get the risk, basically guidance for risk assessment from Microsoft Cloud. That information is available to you within our native SIM, Microsoft Sentinel. There is a CMMC workbook that you can take advantage of. And even within the Azure, Defender for Cloud is another fabulous resource that you can leverage, because clearly everybody potentially has multiple clouds and they have on-prem, and so their environment is very much of a hybrid environment. So the Defender for Cloud is a solution that will provide you cloud security posture management and also cloud workload protection. So that's another tool that you can leverage. So let's spend some time on Microsoft Purview Compliance Manager. First and foremost, I highly recommend to you, if you're not familiar with it, to take advantage of a 90-day trial and get to play around with all the 9 solutions within this platform. You can get to it through your Microsoft Purview Compliance Center and get to that via that portal. Now, this basically provides you with tremendous resources. Right on the start, by looking at a dashboard, you can see your compliance posture, basically via a score. And you are able to see how you stack and what actions potentially you can take to improve those scores over time, and actually demonstrate to your colleagues and management that you are making effort to become more sort of secure and compliant per the given regulation that your industry may be under. Now, within the compliance manager, there are also tremendous templates available. They're called assessment templates. There are some templates available right from the outstart included, and some are premium. But for our government community clouds, the compliance manager template assessment for CMMC is actually included. And so you can definitely leverage it. And what that does for you is that it makes you to really right from the outset figure out, well, what are the controls that are there? They get mapped, allows you to, well, you see I show in the other screen. It allows you to basically see how many of the controls you have reviewed, you have basically tested, you have evidence. And then sometimes when we are doing a testing, like in access control, and if we have to meet multiple compliance framework, those may be the evidence that we have collected or the testing that we have done may be shared between a couple of frameworks, and you can leverage Compliance Manager and build that linkage and accelerate your effort. So that's definitely very, very huge. And Compliance Manager also provides you step-by-step guidance that then really helps you to know what actions should be taken so that you can get better result and able for you to prioritize what should give me a bigger buck for my action, if you will, or what is a higher priority. So that's also a very good feature of Compliance Manager. Here, it's all about workflow. So let's say we are a group and we are working together in a pre-audit work. We are doing a risk assessment. If we want to, within that workflow, we want to assign a task, or we want to collaborate over that task, we can actually do that right there from the compliance manager and assign compliance-related activity to colleagues and collaborate together. So that is another very big feature. And then any data that we upload is actually stored in Compliance Manager and Microsoft Cloud Storage, which is then compliant with the data protection standards. And you can see for yourself the framework that we follow with regards to keeping that data secure. And so that's another very big advantage. Now, this also takes into consideration that compliance is not a static activity, and hence it allows you to have a real-time view, and folks within the business that have that compliance or governance responsibility or the risk assessment responsibility, they can do some proactive work to see how their ongoing assessment looks like and get ready ahead of the audit. So it's one of my most favorite tools coming from the risk advisory world. So I really recommend it. The next tool that I want to share with you guys, this was the information actually about the trial. The next one that I would like to share with you guys is the Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Now, this is a solution for the, as I mentioned earlier, for cloud security posture management, cloud workload protection. It allows you to assess and visualize your resources, whether they are in Azure, whether they are on-prem or in other clouds, and it gives you an ability in a dashboard to, again, figure out what your score is and get sort of a overall security posture for your entire environment. So that's also very, very powerful, and it does have CMMC NIST Special Publication 800-171 built in. So it allows you to see that compliance against that regulatory. And then, as I said, it also has hybrid cloud workloads ability to support that, as well as it has the built-in AI and automation to really take out a lot of that busy, false alarms and data, and give you a very cohesive picture of your security posture, and then allows you to quickly identify the threats and then figure out how to do your investigation. Now we want to move into the Microsoft, the Sentinel, which is our native security incident event management. And here we are basically showing you the CMMC 2.0 solution. Earlier, I shared with you guys that we have built a CMMC 2.0 workbook. You can really leverage that in the outset for the design and doing your assessment and reporting, but it's more than that. It actually enables you to going beyond. So CMMC 2.0, it takes basically into account up to 25 of Microsoft products or solutions that you can leverage. And it then allows you to apply analytic rules and then playbooks and really get a lot of data and figure out where you stack against the requirement, but also as it identifies some shortcomings or issues, it enables you then to react and do fix those issues. So that's a very powerful tool as well. One of the things I love about Sentinel is that it doesn't require a lot of investment in hardware. It really is a native cloud and allows you a tool, and it allows you to take advantage of the promise of the cloud, that elasticity. So very, very powerful, and you can get a lot of benefit from it from day one. So let's see. Here, again, basically, I'm showing you the same thing that depending on the audience that you have, who's using the Sentinel, there's a different capability for it. And you can align it to a given domain, and then have a customized response and provide reporting. It's a very awesome tool, and it's been recognized in the industry as a leader, our Sentinel. The next slide that I wanted to show you is relative to the CMMC. Think about this control card. This particular one, as you see, is for access control 3.1.12. It shows you this control card for the remote access, and it's basically tells you what services are included, what are the recommended logs that should be ingested into the into a Sentinel, and it also gives you further implementation guides and a visual. So you see, for instance, who is logging remotely to your resources and from which part of the world. So it's a very powerful dashboard. Another example that we are providing here is, for instance, around the least functionality in config management, around defining it, documentation, approval, enforcing physical and logical access restriction associated with changes in the organizational system, just as is said in the NIST 800-171. It shows you, as I said in earlier talk when I showed you, all the way from the design, but more all the way to the respond. And then by adding the ticketing, you have a complete flow in order to leverage Sentinel. Then we have put together, included in here, a very short demo that when you get access to this, you can see it, and it shows you how to leverage Sentinel with the CMMC workbook here. The next tool that I wanted to showcase here is, as I've shared in the beginning and referencing the executive order, everything we do within Microsoft really takes in the zero trust architecture and framework into play. And therefore, we always assume breach. We always try to ensure that it is just-in-time access. It is something that we have learned. It helps in a modern environment, in a hybrid work, in a modern workforce to assume all that so that we can protect people, devices, applications, and data wherever they may be. And so with that, you can go in these links and see how we have built that in and leverage that. In the Azure, the mission landing zone, it's all about recommended practices. So the Azure landing zone really enables the application migration, modernization, innovation, all of it at the enterprise scale in Azure. And so you really can leverage the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework and our reference architecture and implementation know-how and best practices at an enterprise scale in Azure and leverage that. And really, regardless of where you are in your maturity, you can leverage it to design the workloads that you want within the Azure, and again, recommend these best practices. And so that's another tool that we highly recommend for you to leverage. One of the big things that some folks may not know about us at Microsoft is that Microsoft is really one of the largest security companies in the globe, if not the largest today. And one of the tools that I always refer to colleagues and partners and customers to leverage is our reference architecture. It's really powerful. It has many, many parts to it. Here you see even things from the people side of it, how to balance governance and security and compliance and security. And it really brings in not only our tools, as you see here is an eye chart. It's actually, you can download it and it's automated, but you can see all these boxes are, for instance, it can be a CASB. It has a Microsoft tool, but it shows you, if you have others, how we recommend for your security architecture to be, and built in the zero trust. So one other thing that I wanted to say, again, security is a team sport. It's about partners helping you based on their journey that they have traveled, their expertise and experiences. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's about automation and technology. And so based on that, what we have done over the last few years, working with partners that have a lot of sort of experience in the defense industrial base and with the government regulation, we have put together a list of our acceleration partners. We call it CMMC acceleration partners. And you see a number of them here, including CyberSheath. And we highly recommend you to work with them. Many of them, by the way, are also on the Cyber AB marketplace. So I was asked to also talk to you guys a little bit about Microsoft government community clouds. And it seems that when it comes to the Microsoft, sometimes there is a confusion. So I wanted to take a moment and tell you about what is the M365 commercial versus M365 government, and walk you through that. So here what you would see is the M365 on the left, you will see the enterprise, which Office 365 is part of the M365. It also has enterprise mobility and security, also included in there, Power BI, and some other features as part of the, for instance, our G5. For the authorization and authentication of that M365 commercial, as well as the M365 GCC, which is Government Community Cloud, all of the authentication and authorization happens with the Azure Active Directory that is in the Azure commercial worldwide data centers. So that is very important key to focus that this, even though in the GCC, it's an enclave that has been built for the government to meet some of the compliance obligation, but we are sharing the Azure Active Directory worldwide. And so what Microsoft has done is first, when we, what we're making the cloud services and Office 365 for DoD was created, we have created a completely separate logically and physically data centers, which is our Microsoft Azure government. And the Azure Active Directory that does that authentication and authorization is sitting on that Azure government for the GCC High, which is a replica of our DoD office, but it is built for the defense industrial base. It's a very special cloud offering. It is not something that you would see, for instance, you have to go through a validation. If you want to procure it, you have to go either through some of our approved government partners. So it's not something that easily is accessible. And I will share with you that it does meet, it's an IL4 cloud, and it does meet a lot of the regulations, especially when it comes to the CMMC. We'll go through that in a little bit more detail, but this was the big thing because a lot of times people get confused that, well, there is a GCC, and what's the difference? They think it's because of FedRAMP High, and it's not, because we can actually showcase equivalency to FedRAMP High in all of our clouds. So the Azure Government Cloud, again, really has a lot of regulation specific to the US government that is built in for it. You see the FedRAMP High in there. You see the different DoD requirement that is in there. And of course, for the DFAR 7012 for the flow downs, we do support that in our Azure government, as well as when it comes to the GCC High for the specified CUI, we also support that and provide supplementals to the contract so that you can take advantage of those flow downs as well. So that's something that I wanted to mention. Within the commercial, we cannot provide that. And Azure Government also provides you that YAS and PAS that really provides you with the highest level of resiliency and reliability. And so you have access to that as well. We have announced the regions that are available. And you can see here today that we have number of regions in East and West that are available that you can take advantage of. And so that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. There are 91 compliance sort of frameworks that it meets. So, and also we have authorization to operate or PATO. If you go to the FedRAMP marketplace, you will see from a number of federal agencies, and we have customers in the Department of Defense, and you can read the slide and see that who's who with regards to what we are showing. Here again, we are showcasing a number of the compliance that we have met, including the ITAR, the CGIS for the FBI, the IRS 1075, of course, for CMMC, NIST 800-171, and then as I alluded earlier to DISA's SRG level 5 is actually for our DoD cloud, and our GCC high is at level 4. So that's something we wanted to share. Now, it's extremely important to spend a moment here. So we have customers, particularly in this space, that are on-prem. And sometimes they are toying, should they go into the digital transformation and cloud? And so if you think about it, we as Microsoft, if you leverage whether it's Microsoft or another cloud service provider, if it is basically a SaaS offering, we are taking a lot of that burden away from you. Here in this slide, you will see in terms of the responsibility at the highest level when it comes to the data classification, data ownership, you're always going to have responsibility. But as you come down to physical infrastructure, like actually owning the data centers and the infrastructure or the network, you see that in the software as a service offering, like in M365, your responsibility is really not there, and it's mostly with the cloud service providers. That's what I'm trying to show you in that light blue color. And so you do see that there is always a shared responsibility, again, like for instance, on the identity and access management, as I said, or on the endpoint management, bring your own device, etc. But as you go from on-prem to software as a service, a lot of that burden is then shared with the cloud service provider. Here is another look from the shared responsibility model example. Basically, when it comes to the privacy and compliance, how we are fulfilling our responsibility and what is your responsibility. As an example, leveraging customer lockbox to make sure that you keep your encryption keys. And so as an example, if you're dealing with data in transit and whatnot, you are having some responsibility. So that's basically what we are trying to showcase, that there are always responsibility between the cloud service provider and customer, so that you can see how we fulfill it through, for instance, I touched on encryption, what we are doing, whether it's with BitLocker or the TLS standards, and how we are vetting our folks. And all that information is also available, the degree of cloud personnel screening that we do for the government community cloud citizenship, etc., FBI background checks. So there are a lot of due diligence that we have taken into consideration. This is one of my favorite slides, because in an eye chart, you can really see all the clouds that I touched on these columns. And then in the rows, you could see different frameworks that we have highlighted and regulations, and whether we are able to, we are meeting them, and we are able to support you with the supplements or with the flow downs, etc. And what you would see in the GCC versus GCC high, the one with the green box around it in the blue section, the blue is all, as I said earlier in the call, the Azure Active Directory, which is now part of our Entra platform, the new naming. It's sitting on the Azure government, a separate data center, as you saw in those locations, regions that I showed in the other slide, whereas the GCC is an enclave that is sitting on the worldwide and our public cloud. And you see that when it comes to the CMMC, there is a little hat here. We say yes, but with a caveat. And the caveat is based on the type of controlled unclassified information, whether it's a specified or special ones like ITAR data or nuclear that you have to meet, then we cannot fulfill the obligation in GCC, and you have to be in the GCC high. And it's based on the risk appetite of the customer. You can always apply compensating controls. to meet your obligation. But also, if you're thinking about future proofing, think about the investment that you have to make, because it's not something that you would say, well, today I don't touch, I don't think in my business development activities, I'm doing anything, as an example, with expert control data or ITAR, but tomorrow I may. Well, migrating those workloads later from a GCC to a GCC high, it does take effort. And so it's not seamless. So those are some of the things, your business, but we are happy to provide you the cloud that meets your appetite for risk and your business needs. So with that, I wanted to, again, touch on the fact that technology and automation and the promise of the cloud, we have fabulous solutions and best practices and amazing talented people to help you in your journey and help you to be more secure and more compliant and meet the Department of Defense requirement. And as you saw in that shared responsibility matrix, take some of that burden away from you. And while you're moving from the on-prem to the cloud, actually reduce your total cost of operation, total cost of security operation, and help you to modernize your workforce. COVID taught all of us very quickly that we need to have the hybrid work as part of our reality, and also to get the talent that is available today, we really need to have the environment that they can take advantage of tools that the workers are looking into. And let's work together and harness the intelligence and that we have through all of the trillions of data that we sift through, signals that we sift through from a security perspective, to provide you with a very compliant and secure cloud. And with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity, and encourage you to please come to any of us with any questions that you have. Be happy to be at your service and help you with your mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Maryam, for sharing the available technology to help contractors meet CMMC compliance. Microsoft is continually evolving their technology stack and partnerships to best meet the regulatory demands of CMMC. Partnering with Microsoft to enhance audit-ready solutions to our clients, CyberSheath recognizes Microsoft's expertise and advancement of future-proofing technologies. CyberSheath is a trusted member of Microsoft's Intelligent Security Association, Microsoft Cloud Solutions Provider, Microsoft Premier Support Partner, Silver Partner. In addition, CyberSheath has had the privilege of becoming part of a select few official resellers for Microsoft GCC High and Office 365 GCC licensing. That concludes CMMCCon's speaker presentations. We want to thank all of our speakers and sponsors for making this year's CMMCCon powerfully informative and relative to the struggles that face the DIB. Now over to CyberSheath's Eric Noonan for closing remarks.